And that music is our Daniel Marin's theme music, How It Should Be. Executive producer Daniel Marin's on-air superstar. Take it away.
Well, David, you hear a lot of people in Congress, particularly Republicans, saying Washington has a spending problem, not a revenue problem. Hear from John Boehner, the Speaker of the House. Hear from Mitch McConnell, the Senate Minority Leader, the Republican leader in the Senate. But where you don't always expect to hear it is from Democrats. And yet, oftentimes, you still do. Who am I thinking of? Well, I could point out a couple names. And again, there are many of the policies that these people endorse that are fine policies. But current Senator from Virginia, Tim Kaine, ran on a platform of smart spending cuts. I heard him speak saying that we do need to cut spending, saying that he would govern as a senator the way he governed as a governor, which is to say he would have $2 in spending cuts for every dollar of revenue, 2 or 3 in many cases. In fact, that's actually been the standard baseline, whether it was the Simpson-Bowles Commission, which was co-chaired, of course, by prominent Democrat Erskine Bowles, or the president in various negotiations. And in fact, the spending cuts have been the austerity has been heavily skewed towards spending cuts. Here's the problem. We don't have a spending problem. Barack Obama doesn't have a spending problem. The United States government doesn't have a spending problem. And here's why. According to statistics that Think Progress dredged up, federal spending in the past 3 years, from 2009 to 2012, has only grown at a rate of 0.6%. Okay? That's the lowest growth rate since Eisenhower was president from 1953 to 1956, before we even had major federal programs like Medicare and Medicaid. So what is really happening when people are talking about the ballooning deficit and the ballooning debt? Well, they're talking about spending and deficit as a percentage of GDP. And therein lies the problem. Because as Paul Krugman points out, you can't just look at spending in the vacuum. You have to look at it as a percentage of GDP, which is the sum total of goods and services that are traded in our economy. And as the economy got smaller in 2007, 2008, 2009, that spending as a share of the economy looked much bigger. On top of that, revenue has been depressed. Revenue stayed at about 15% of GDP because if people are making less money and they're contributing less to the federal treasury. We've also had some emergency spending. Unemployment insurance, Medicaid claims go up during a bad economy. The irony of all this is that the one reason we haven't been able to dig ourselves out of this hole in the recession, well, not the only reason, but a major factor in that has been our obsession with cutting spending. For instance, we've been unwilling to relieve state and local governments of their spending needs because state and local governments need to have a balanced budget. We haven't been able to give them the help that they need to keep cops on the beat, teachers in the classroom, resulting in the layoffs of some 700,000 public workers at the state and local level, which has been a major drag on the economy, even as the private sector moves ahead. So we need Democrats not just saying that they're not going to get rid of Medicare, not going to get rid of Medicaid, not just saying that their spending cuts aren't going to be severe, that we need more revenue too. We need them to tell the truth. We need Democrats to say it. The government has a revenue and a healthcare problem, not a spending problem. Because as I mentioned before, when we look into the long term, not just the short term in terms of the recession, yeah, we're going to have some deficit problems. We're going to have some debt problems if we don't get our healthcare house in order, if we don't start making the rich pay their fair share. Because if we had the healthcare costs per capita of the closest country to us in terms of healthcare costs, we'd be in budget surplus regardless of our tax burden. That's how it should be.
Daniel, there's a lot of people who sort of wonder why do the Republicans do this? And there's the theory that, well, the Republicans mean well about reducing, about wasteful spending. And then there's the theory that, no, the only reason that they do this is because they really do have a philosophical problem, and they're simply using the deficit, using this idea that there's a spending out of control so that they can essentially drown these government programs in the bathtub, as they have famously said before. What do you think it is?
I mean, any credibility that they had about actually caring about the deficit went out the window with Paul Ryan's budget in 2011 and 2012. Okay, the budget resolution that he proposed doesn't even balance the budget until 2040, but along the way it manages to cut taxes to their lowest rate since the 1920s and before that for the wealthiest Americans, for millionaires and billionaires, and gut programs for the poor, including Medicaid, food stamps, you name it. So on the one hand, they're destroying our social safety net to pay for tax cuts for the rich. And on the other hand, they're not even doing it in a way that would balance the budget right away. Now we have information that the new Ryan budget is going to balance the budget by 2020. Hooray! Which will just mean even more severe spending cuts. Look, at the end of the day, David, the fact that they haven't been honest about the economy, the fact that they haven't said that that Barack Obama's so-called deficit problem is really just a function of the recession that their policies helped cause, that to me is so disingenuous. It is classic textbook shock doctrine. You create a crisis, and then you use that crisis to drive through the ideological agenda you've had all along. But what disappoints me is that I expect that from Republicans. They've always had a problem with our basic social insurance programs, with Social Security and Medicare. What I don't expect it from is from President Barack Obama, from senators like Tim Kaine, from Erskine Bowles. Those people, the so-called centrists, they're really disingenuous. You know, the center should be Paul Krugman, because what he's saying is just the truth.